Tifton, Georgia, a quaint, tight-knit southern town where everyone seemed to know each other, was shaken to its core in December 2019 by a tragedy that unraveled the seemingly perfect life of one of its most respected citizens. This is a story of love, obsession, and betrayal that ended in murder, leaving haunting questions in its wake. Willie Tanner, 49, was a beloved figure in Tifton. He owned Tanner's Hardware, a local institution serving the community for over 2 decades. Known for his warm smile and helpful advice, Willie was more than a businessman. He was a friend to many. Whether a customer needed a screwdriver or guidance on fixing a leaky faucet, Willie was there, offering not just tools but also camaraderie. At home, Willie's life seemed equally idyllic. Married to his high school sweetheart, Lynn Tanner, 48, he was part of a couple deeply involved in church activities and local charity events. To outsiders, their marriage appeared strong, built on years of shared memories and love. However, beneath the surface of this perfect picture lay a dark secret. Willie had become entangled in a secret relationship with Madison Kelly, an 18-year-old high school senior known for her striking looks and intelligence. Their connection began innocently enough. Madison was a frequent visitor to the hardware store, but over time, their interactions grew more personal. What started as a friendship soon spiraled into a fiery, passionate affair. Willie was torn between guilt and desire, unable to extricate himself from the emotional web he had woven. As the 2019 holiday season approached, Willie's behavior began to change. He spent less time at home, often working late, or so he claimed. Lynn, though concerned, attributed his distance to the pressures of running a business during the busiest time of the year. Yet, friends and neighbors noticed his once cheerful demeanor had dimmed, replaced by a distracted and worried air. On the morning of December 22, 2019, Tifton was serene. Residents were busy with last-minute Christmas preparations, unaware of the darkness about to descend on their town. Around 9 a.m., Lynn returned home to their cozy residence on Bride Street after volunteering at First Baptist Church to help prepare for the Christmas Eve service. Seeing Willie's truck in the driveway puzzled her. He had mentioned needing to run errands for the store. As Lynn stepped into their home, the familiar scent of fresh pine greeted her. Their Christmas tree, adorned with colorful lights, stood proudly in the corner of the living room. Beneath it, gifts were carefully wrapped, some with her name on them. But the warmth of the festive scene was soon overshadowed by a chilling discovery. Lynn called out for Willie, but the house was eerily silent. She ventured further inside, her unease growing. Entering the master bedroom, her world shattered. Willie lay motionless on the floor, a pool of blood spreading beneath him. He had been brutally murdered. Panic-stricken, Lynn called 911, and within minutes, police and emergency responders arrived, turning their peaceful home into a crime scene. The investigation that followed revealed a tangled web of deceit, betrayal, and obsession. Madison Kelly, the young woman Willie had been involved with, became a central figure in the inquiry. Madison, initially cooperative, soon became evasive under questioning. Her story changed multiple times, and inconsistencies began to emerge. Police discovered text messages and emails that painted a picture of a tumultuous relationship, filled with passion but also jealousy and conflict. Madison had grown increasingly possessive, resenting Willie's attempts to distance himself as his guilt mounted. The evidence pointed to a confrontation between Willie and Madison on the morning of December 22nd. Madison's fingerprints were found on a weapon, a hammer, used to bludgeon Willie to death. Faced with the evidence, she eventually confessed. The fiery relationship had culminated in a heated argument, during which Madison, overcome by anger and rejection, had lashed out violently. The murder of Willie Tanner shocked Tifton, leaving the community grappling with the loss of a man they admired and the revelation of the double life he led. Madison's trial was swift, and she was convicted of murder, sentenced to life in prison. In the aftermath, the Tanners' home on Bride Street became a somber reminder of the tragedy that had unfolded within its walls. For Lynn, The pain of losing her husband was compounded by the betrayal she never saw coming. The town of Tifton, too, struggled to come to terms with the darkness hidden beneath its seemingly perfect surface. Willie Tanner's legacy, once defined by kindness and community, was forever shadowed by the tragic choices that led to his untimely death. The house was eerily silent as Lynn Tanner stepped inside, carrying the bags of groceries she had hurriedly purchased earlier that evening. Something felt off. Willie, her husband, didn't respond when she called his name. The cheerful Christmas tunes playing softly in her mind were quickly replaced by an ominous silence. Her breath hitched as she walked into the living room. The sight before her would haunt her forever. Willie's lifeless body lay sprawled on the floor near the base of the Christmas tree, surrounded by broken ornaments and shimmering tinsel. Blood had pooled beneath his head, soaking into the festive rug. A hammer lay discarded nearby, its handle smeared with what could only be his blood. The once cheerful scene now resembled something out of a nightmare. Lynn fell to her knees, her entire body trembling. She struggled to process what she was seeing, her mind refusing to believe it was real. Panic coursed through her, but somehow she managed to grab her phone and call 911. Through choking sobs, she described the horrifying scene to the operator. "Oh my God, my husband isn't breathing. There's blood everywhere." The operator's calm instructions barely registered as Lynn sat on the porch, tears streaming down her face. "Don't touch anything. Stay outside. Help is on the way." The quiet neighborhood street soon exploded with flashing red and blue lights. Emergency vehicles arrived within minutes, and curious neighbors peeked through their curtains, whispering in hushed tones. Detective Nora Collins, a veteran investigator known for her sharp intuition, arrived on the scene shortly after. Stepping out of her unmarked car, she was immediately struck by the unsettling contrast. The Tanner house was adorned with festive Christmas lights, yet inside awaited a scene of unimaginable violence. The living room was a chilling juxtaposition of holiday cheer and brutality. Twinkling lights reflected off shattered ornaments, and bloodstains marred the once pristine ribbons and wrapping paper. Willie Tanner lay at the foot of the Christmas tree, his head crushed from multiple blows. The hammer, carelessly abandoned beside him, was quickly collected by the forensic team as evidence. Detective Collins surveyed the room with practiced eyes, noting the absence of any signs of a struggle beyond the immediate area. The crime scene was gruesome yet eerily controlled, as if the attack had come without warning. Dr. Philip K. Wong, the meticulous medical examiner, arrived shortly after to examine the body. He noted the severe head trauma that had likely caused instant death and estimated the time of death to be between 10 p.m. and midnight the previous night. Detective Collins ordered her team to comb through the house for evidence. Every fingerprint, every scrap of material, every photograph could be a crucial piece of the puzzle. The hammer was bagged and sent for analysis, while detectives questioned the distraught Lynn Tanner. Lynn, still in shock, struggled to provide coherent answers. Between sobs, she managed to recount her morning routine and Willie's activities the previous day. But something about her demeanor raised questions in Detective Collins's mind. Was it merely grief? Or was there something more she wasn't saying? The investigation had only just begun, and the picture was far from complete. As the team continued their work, Detective Collins couldn't shake the feeling that this crime was personal, intimate. Someone had wanted Willie dead, and now it was her job to uncover the truth. Detective Nora Collins couldn't shake the feeling that Willie Tanner's murder was a crime of passion. The sheer brutality of the attack hinted at deep anger or jealousy, emotions that often fuel such violent acts. But who could hate Willie so much as to kill him in such a savage way? Collins was determined to find out. The first person on Detective Collins' list was Madison Kelly, an 18-year-old high school senior, and Willie's secret lover. Madison was known for her vibrant performances in the school drama club, recently impressing audiences in a local production of A Christmas Carol. But beneath the polished exterior was an emotionally fragile girl. Madison lived with her mother, Tammy Kelly, in a modest house on the outskirts of town. Tammy was a controlling woman, obsessively managing Madison's life after her husband left the family upon coming out as gay. When Detective Collins visited the Kelly residence on December 22nd, she found Madison in her room, visibly distraught. The room was a typical teenager space, adorned with posters of Taylor Swift and Ariana Grande. But the photo of Willie Tanner, shirtless and framed on her nightstand, and diaries filled with graphic entries about their relationship hinted at Madison's obsession with him. Madison admitted to the affair, describing her deep love for Willie and her dreams of a future together. But as Christmas neared, Willie had grown distant and Madison feared. He planned to end the relationship. When pressed about her whereabouts on the night of the murder, she hesitated, before claiming she was home alone, studying for exams. A weak alibi, her emotional instability, and obsession with Willie made her a prime suspect. However, her erratic statements about a mysterious man named Bob, who she claimed manipulated her into staying with Willie under threats of torture, added an unsettling layer of confusion. Detective Collins wasn't convinced by Madison's story. She needed more evidence, but Madison's behavior left Collins on high alert. The second person on Collins' list was Lynn Tanner, Willie's wife of 25 years. Lynn was a respected member of the community, deeply involved in church activities and local events. Outwardly, she seemed like the picture of warmth and stability, but Lynn had long suspected her husband of infidelity. In the days leading up to Christmas, Lynn had been busy preparing for church services and community gatherings. However, she confessed to Collins that Willie's increasing absences, which he often explained as work-related, had left her feeling uneasy. When Collins interviewed Lynn on December 22nd, Lynn recounted her shock at discovering Willie's body that morning, sitting at her kitchen table. She described her marriage, once loving but now strained, especially since their son had gone off to college. She admitted suspecting an affair after Willie repeatedly rejected her advances, but she had no concrete proof. On the night of the murder, Lynn claimed she had been at home, preparing for church, and then going to bed early. She assumed Willie had fallen asleep on the couch and only discovered the gruesome truth the next morning. Lynn's grief seemed genuine and she cooperated fully, providing access to Willie's belongings, including his phone and computer. Yet, as his wife, Lynn had both the opportunity and motive to commit the crime. Collins kept her under scrutiny. The third person on Collins' list was Tammy Kelly, Madison's controlling mother. Tammy was known in Tifton for her perfectionism and strict demeanor. After her husband left, Tammy became hyper-focused on Madison, micromanaging every aspect of her life. Tammy's obsession with appearances often translated into harsh treatment of her daughter. Rumors swirled about Tammy's extreme disciplinary measures, including disturbing stories of her punishing Madison for attracting male attention. When Detective Collins visited Tammy on December 23rd, she found a woman who appeared disturbingly unbothered by the events surrounding Willie's death. Tammy denied knowing anything about the relationship between her daughter and Willie. Her demeanor, though calm, exuded an air of calculation that didn't sit well with Collins. The living room was immaculate, adorned with traditional Christmas decorations. A perfectly decorated tree stood beside a nativity scene, casting a warm, festive glow. Tammy welcomed Detective Collins into her home, calm and composed, though an undercurrent of tension rippled beneath her demeanor. As the interview began, Collins asked about Tammy's relationship with Willie Tanner. Tammy praised Willie, calling him a good man and a pillar of the community, though her tone was distant. When the topic shifted to her daughter, Madison, Tammy's voice became more cautious. She expressed frustration with Madison's recent behavior, noting that her daughter had started wearing makeup and a bra in the weeks leading up to the murder. Tammy admitted she had tried to talk to Madison, but her daughter dismissed her concerns, insisting everything was fine. When Collins pressed about Madison's rumored sexual relationship with Willie, Tammy's composure cracked slightly. She denied any knowledge but accused Madison of dressing provocatively, even describing her as looking like a prostitute. Collins couldn't ignore the possibility that Tammy's intense need for control and the scandal of her daughter's alleged affair with an older man might have driven her to act. Tammy remained cold and cooperative throughout the interview, offering little useful information. As Collins left the Kelly home, she knew Tammy couldn't be ruled out as a suspect. The investigation was growing more complex, with each lead unveiling new layers of secrets and motives. Yet, without concrete evidence, the case remained a puzzle. On December 24, 2019, the investigation took a significant turn. It was a cold, gray morning in Tifton, Georgia, with temperatures hovering around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Detective Collins and her team returned to the Tanner residence to re-examine the crime scene. Among the carefully wrapped Christmas gifts near the fireplace, an officer discovered a torn piece of paper partially hidden under a rug. The note, though incomplete, bore the words, "Dirty boy, meet me at," followed by a time, 10 p.m., and the initials MK. The initials matched Madison Kelly, Willie's secret lover, and the time aligned with the estimated time of Willie's death. Collins immediately sent the note for forensic analysis and returned to the Kelly home to search for additional evidence. In Madison's bedroom, hidden under her mattress, Collins found a notebook filled with disturbing entries. Madison had detailed her obsession with Willie, describing their sexual encounters and secret plans to meet. One entry, dated December 22nd, matched the time and location mentioned in the note. This evidence placed Madison at the crime scene and revealed her motive, jealousy and obsession. Back at the station, forensic analysis confirmed that the handwriting on the note matched Madison's. This was the breakthrough Collins had been waiting for. Madison Kelly became the prime suspect in Willie Tanner's murder. During her second interrogation, Madison changed her story, claiming she had been manipulated by an imaginary lover named Bob. She described him as a high-ranking politician involved in bizarre rituals and insisted he had coerced her into killing Willie. When the police dismissed her tale, Madison shifted again, claiming Bob was a voice in her head, a symptom of mental illness. She argued that she wasn't in control of her actions on the night of the murder. However, the evidence, her handwriting on the note and her obsessive diary entries, painted a different picture. On December 26, 2019, Madison Kelly was officially arrested for Willie Tanner's murder. She was eerily calm as she was handcuffed and led away. The town of Tifton was left in shock, grappling with how a young woman with a promising future could commit such a heinous act. Willie's family, devastated by his loss, found solace in knowing the person responsible was behind bars. Yet, the pain of his absence, especially during the holidays, was profound. Madison's trial began in February 2020, drawing the attention of the entire town. District Attorney Robert Whitman argued that Madison's crime was premeditated, driven by her obsessive love for Willie. The courtroom listened intently as Whitman described how Madison's jealousy and rage culminated in a brutal murder when Willie tried to end their relationship. The evidence was damning, leaving little room for doubt about her guilt. In December 2019, the small town of Tifton, Georgia, was rocked by a crime that would leave its residents haunted for years. The murder of Willie Tanner, a well-respected hardware store owner, shook the close-knit community to its core. The prosecution's case was clear-cut, with evidence suggesting that Madison Kelly had intentionally brought a hammer to the scene of the crime, emphasizing the cold, calculated nature of her actions. Willie Tanner, who had led a secret double life, was found dead, his betrayal exposed in the courtroom. His family, sitting in the front row during the trial, listened in silence as the full extent of his secret relationship with 18-year-old Madison was revealed. Their grief was palpable, marked not only by the pain of his death, but also by the devastating betrayal. In stark contrast, the defense argued that Madison's actions were the result of a psychotic breakdown, driven by the overwhelming fear of losing Willie and the strain of their hidden affair. Karen Blackwell, her defense attorney, portrayed Madison as a vulnerable young woman manipulated, and eventually undone by the pressures of her difficult family life. She urged the jury to recognize Madison's fragile mental state at the time of the crime. After days of deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict. Madison Kelly was found guilty of second-degree murder. The sentence, 25 years in prison with the possibility of parole after 15, sparked mixed reactions. Some believed it was too lenient for such a brutal act, while others felt it was a fair judgment, considering Madison's age and mental instability. The trial, while bringing some closure to Willie's family, left deep emotional scars that would never heal. His widow, Willie Tanner, struggled with the revelation of Willie's infidelity. The weight of his double life was a burden she couldn't bear, and she eventually moved away, hoping to start anew, away from the painful memories of the past. As for Madison, she was transferred to a state prison to serve her sentence. Though she had tried to feign mental illness during the trial, subsequent psychiatric evaluations showed no signs of schizophrenia or any other condition that could explain her actions. Madison spent her days in relative isolation, her future, a promising one at one point, now a distant memory. Meanwhile, Willie's family decided to close his hardware store for good, a tragic symbol of the end of an era. The business, once a community hub, was no more, leaving a void in the town that would never be filled. Madison's mother, Tammy Kelly, faced her own struggles. Once a controlling presence in her daughter's life, she became a pariah in the town, blamed by many for Madison's downfall. Tammy withdrew from public life, hiding from the judgmental glances of her neighbors. As time passed, Tifton slowly began to return to normal, though the memory of the crime lingered. The 2019 Christmas season was quieter than usual, a reminder that even in the most familiar of communities, dark secrets can lurk beneath the surface, leading to tragedy. And so, the story of Madison Kelly and Willie Tanner would forever be etched in the town's history as one of its darkest chapters, a painful reminder of the hidden lives people lead and the devastating consequences of secrets left unspoken.
This was today's true story. Our aim is for people to learn from such incidents and strive to improve society. Do let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you liked this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.